After finishing up our spring classes at NC State, David, Hurley, and I loaded our gear into my parents' Ford Econoline van and headed west. Our mission was to climb as much as possible. Two days after leaving home, we reached Badlands National Park in South Dakota. After spending the morning exploring the park, we drove west a couple more hours to Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills to prepare for our first day of climbing. In the National Forest land just outside Mount Rushmore, we found excellent granite. Unfortunately, a steady rain set in after our first few climbs. The next day, we headed into the neighboring state park near the town of Custer to an area known as the Needles. Once again, we faced misty and rainy conditions, but decided the climbing was too good to miss. The Needles features countless granite spires that offer endless fun on moderate terrain. One of the most unforgettable spires we climbed was the Needles Eye. The classic route climbs through a large arch formation in a granite spire. The next day, we headed west from Custer State Park into the northeast corner of Wyoming to climb the Devil's Tower National Monument. Our primary objective was to climb the ultra-classic 6-pitch route known as Durance. Climbing at the Devil's Tower offers a unique and sustained crack systems and beautiful scenery. After successfully summiting the tower the previous day, we decided to try a climb described as the best 5-9 in America. The route known as Solar starts high above the ground on the northeast side of the tower. The first pitch follows a vertical crack at the base of a dihedral for 180 feet. From the Devil's Tower, we headed west again to the town of Lander, Wyoming to prepare for our time in the Wind River Range. The winds were David and I's most anticipated stop. It would be our first chance to climb in a true alpine environment. After receiving news from the local gear shops that it was still winter in the mountains and climbing would not open up for another few weeks, we changed our plans a little and decided to give climbing Gannett Peak a try. Gannett Peak is the highest point in Wyoming and also one of the most remote state summits. The standard approach to the start of the climb involves 25 miles of backpacking through rugged and beautiful wilderness. After 1.5 days of exhausting trekking, we reached the base of Gannett and set up camp on a snowfield at the base of a glacier.
Alright, we're approaching the summit of Gannett. We've roped up here through the last bit and coming up the, crossing the Bergerschrund and coming up this pretty steep bit of snow here. You can see we followed that ridge down into there. It's a pretty awesome view here. We're pretty well above everything else. Look around out here. I mean, the Wind Rivers just go forever. We're in the middle of nowhere. Yeah! Woo! It is. Yeah! Woo! Alright.
That was awesome.
Highest peak in Wyoming.
After a quick descent off the summit, a light snow began to fall and didn't let up for a couple of days. We were very lucky to have hit the perfect weather window on our climb.
Ooh. Take video now.
Yeah, we need to take a video of the winter storm.
Yeah.
Show people outside. Here, I'll open the door. You can see we're in a winter storm.
So yeah.
I don't know how we're gonna climb this.
Yeah.
One for like a schoolgirl.
After an exhausting trip back to the van after our climb, we set our sights on the Cirque of the Towers in the southern section of the Wind River Range. As we reached the trailhead, a light snow began to fall. Keeping with our strategy of always trying to set ourselves up for success, we decided to make a go of climbing in the Cirque despite the bad weather. Unfortunately, the snowstorm intensified into a blizzard in the late afternoon. David and I spent one of the coldest nights ever riding out the storm in his tent before leaving the next day to move on to climbing that hopefully would not be covered by fresh snow. Our next stop was Grand Teton National Park. In the park we had an amazing week climbing in alpine conditions. Our favorite route was the full Exum Ridge on the Grand Teton. We climbed 5 amazing pitches of 5.7, then free-soloed the next 1,600 feet of 5.5 with lots of ledges and steep snow climbing to the summit.
Alright man, Grand Teton! Full Exum Ridge, lower and upper. Alpine conditions all the way. Pretty sweet. Look at that view. Jenny Lake down there. The park. Jackson Hole. It's a pretty sweet peak to stand on, huh? Glenn Exum, Paul Petzold, all those guys. Yeah, it's sick.
From the Grand Teton, we headed north and made a stop in Yellowstone before climbing Gallatin Canyon and the Humbug Spires in southern Montana. On our way to attempt our final climb of the trip in Banff, Canada, we stopped in Glacier National Park for a week of hiking, backpacking, and mountaineering. The final climb we attempted was the East Ridge of Mount Temple. This classic route rises 5,000 feet from when you leave your car and involved tons of fourth-class scrambling and route finding. After climbing about 4,000 feet, we reached a steep section of snow guarding the way ahead. We decided the risk was not worth the reward and turned back before the summit. It was a tough call, but one we were thankful for. With a summer full of fun and a new love of alpine climbing, we headed home.